Welcome to a lesson with Dr. Powell. Let's take a look at how we can do some operations with fractions intuitively. First, let's start off with a simple one. 1 over a third. This means how many thirds are there in a whole? Well, of course, there's 3. Okay, let's just use this idea for something else. What if we had 2/5 divided by a third? This is asking us how many thirds there are in 2/5. Let's think about this 2/5 as being 2/5 of a whole. Well, what we could do is we could say, well, we know that there are how many thirds in a whole? There are 3 of them. So for every whole, you have 3 of these guys, and you have 2/5 of that. So you're basically just taking 2/5 of 3. Now, we could think of this as being, so 3 times 2/5. Well, 2/5 is 2/5, literally. 2 times a fifth, right? Times 3. And then we think, okay, 2 of something. It's fifths, but let's think of it as apples. So 2 apples, right? 2 groups of apple, or so a group of 2 apples, and we want 3 of them. Well, it's going to be 6 total apples, or in other words, 6/5. Okay. Let's look at another example now. What if we wanted to do something like 3/5 divided by 2? Well, let's think about the numerator here. So there's a fraction in the numerator. We have this line and then the 2. We have to distinguish that. This is absolutely different than 3 divided by 5/2. The 2 are not equal. Where the fraction bar is larger is very important. Okay, so in this particular case, we have 3/5 divided by 2. So we can think, well, in the numerator, this is 3/5 of a whole. And we're dividing it by 2. Well, let's just divide the whole by the whole by 2, and so we're going to replace all of our wholes with just a half of something. So we want 3/5 of a half. Okay, or we could think of it as a half of 3/5. And again, we can think of this 3/5 as being 3 of something, 3/5. You think of that as, if you want, you could think of this as being like an apple or something, so 3 apples. And you want to take a half of that. Well, what we could do is we could just take a half of each of the apples. So what's a half of a fifth? That's a 1/10. And so we're going to end up getting 3 of them, and it's going to be 3/10. Okay, and for the last one here, let's suppose that we have something like 3/5 divided by 2/7. All right. Now, consider the question, first of all, of just seeing how many 1/7 there are in 3/5. Well, that's going to be double what we have over here, because 1/7 is half as much as 2/7, so you can expect there being double the amount of 1/7 in here. So after we compute this, then we can just take 1/2 of that result, and it should be equal to our original right here. So if we know how to find out how many 1/7 there are in this, well, let's think. Look at the numerator, 3/5 of a whole. Then we think, okay, we take 1/7 of a whole, there would be 7 of those, so every whole is like 7 of these, so it's basically 7 times 3/5 and then half of that. We can think of this as being 3/5, so 3 of something, and 7 times that would simply be 21 of them, so 21/5 is what we have from this whole calculation right here. So we have 21/5 from this part, so this part right here is equal to 21/5, and we're going to just be taking 1/2 of that. Now think of 21/5 as being 21 as something, so 21/5, right? And then we're going to be taking 1/2 of what we're doing here. We may as well just take 1/2 of each of the things here, the 1/5, so that would be a 1/10. So it's going to be 21/10. All right. I hope this little description was useful, an intuitive way of thinking about operations with fractions instead of simply thinking formulaically of rules. Oftentimes it's helpful to think of things intuitively. Thanks for watching.